If the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say this was their finest hour.
We stand for Queen,
country, and video games. BRB UK.
Worse teeth,
better accents.
Hello and welcome to episode 283 of the BigRedBarel UK podcast. I am not Dan. Hi!
Dan!
Dan is away being a man in Slough. The man about Slough, they call him. Tap dancing on the roundabout.
Too busy campaigning for president of Slough.
Dan for Slough. 4 more years. 4 more years of Dan for Slough. Yes, we can change and all those kind of things. Making Slough great again. I'm Coleman.
Thanks,
Hi.
Dan.
Yeah, sorry, Dan's away this week. I'm taking Dan's place. He will be back next week, hopefully, unless some kind of roundabout related emergency happens. So in the meantime, of course, Tim is here.
Of course.
Of course!
Even when ill, I still turn up for the podcast.
You're faking
Not
it.
like them flimsy doctors.
That's because you live here, so you're here anyway, so...
Like husband, like wife. The voice interrupting is the voice of Alex.
Hello!
From Geek Speak.
Hello and butts.
And Tim's life.
Well, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Geek Speak and my life, that's it, yeah?
Life is Geek Speak. Geek Speak is life.
Yeah.
Geek Speak is love.
Hey, that's true.
Cool.
For anyone that hasn't heard Geek Speak, you should go listen.
Yes, that's a podcast that's on BigRedBarel.com, which is the website that houses this podcast and many other podcasts much like it. So go
Like a
listen.
family of podcasts.
A network of podcasts, if you were. So
Got some absent family members at the moment, possibly.
Estranged relatives.
Yeah. Distant cousins.
Yeah, really weird uncles.
We don't talk about Uncle David anymore. So yes, we're going to start off this show, as we usually do, with a bit of the news, and especially the headlines. Especially. So breaking news just before we started. Well, sadly, there's a Nintendo Direct, but it happens after we've recorded this here show. So
Yeah, sneaky Nintendo are always doing that. They literally go, right, when are they recording the podcast? Okay, now we'll announce a Direct for tomorrow.
Well,
like, come on.
they've been doing them same day lately, but they've been doing them like 1 or 2 hours before we record. Now they're doing it like a couple of hours after we record.
From the pattern that I've seen, because it always seems to happen, the little ones happen just before we record, and the big ones happen just afterwards.
Right, I see.
So this could be a bigger one, possibly.
Yeah.
Guys, this is fascinating. This is like blowing my mind right here.
Okay, another rumour / leak. Ubisoft. Leaky Ubisoft. Breaking news today. The Division. We all played The Division. All 3 of us.
Yes, even
Some
together.
more than others.
Until you shot a dog and Alex ran away.
Yeah, and that's when I disowned Coleman and I said I'm not going to be playing games with him anymore.
You did come back.
No.
But then you got bored.
Yeah.
And then you shot another dog.
I like that idea. If I just went, no, Alex, please come back and play the game. I won't shoot any more dog. Ah, dog!
You know what? That is probably what you actually did.
No,
that sounds like a very...
No.
That sounds like such a Coleman thing
That's
to do.
not what happened. I apologised. You came back after a lot of apologising.
Yeah, no.
And
You
then
didn't even notice I went away.
I did. You threw your headset down and ran away. Anyway, this is riveting information, I'm sure.
This is the Division news that everyone tuned in to.
Why
hear
Alex
from
stopped playing The
2 years
Division?
ago.
Because Coleman shot a dog. Anyway.
Yeah.
That dog was coming right for you.
Oh, what? No, that dog was friendly and it wanted cuddles.
All 10 of those dogs.
Yes. Division 2, go on.
Anyway, The Division 2 has been leaked. Ubisoft, apparently they put out a press release early that wasn't meant to come about until E3 time. And it doesn't really give too much information on the game other than it's being developed. It has the logo. And then I think it was Ubisoft Shanghai, they then put out a GIF of the logo forming, but it doesn't actually say Division 2. And then the Ubisoft US account then followed that up with a picture of the logo for the game as well. I can imagine Dan will be excited, because he's still playing The Division.
Well, to be fair, he's returned to the Division because he's got jilted at the Destiny altar. But, you know...
Is that even possible? For Dan to get jilted over Destiny?
Well, I think he was prepared to marry Destiny 2 and then it all went wrong. Just as he was about to enter the church, he was like, you know what? No.
Yeah, it's not gonna last until death do us part. I better look to that Division thing that's happening.
Gonna run into the arms of the Division.
I think we killed that metaphor.
Yeah, okay.
Anyone interested?
I liked enough about the first game to at least be interested to see what they're doing with the second game, basically. But I don't know, like, it definitely turned into a game that seemed better suited for playing in groups online.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that's something I need from an open world game necessarily. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, because the way I used it was when you guys were working or unable to play or something, because I had a bit of time off around then, I would play the game on my own, go off and do side quests and collect items and stuff, and then wait for people to be able to play again, and then all join up in a group. However, over time, people dropped out very quickly, and I just kind of found myself doing the side stuff, and the main quests being a bit, they over time just got a bit too hard to do on your own, and there was that whole problem. If there wasn't really level scaling, it was the enemies would scale to the highest leveled person.
Yeah.
So if you were level 5 and your friend's like level 25, you're not going to have a very fun time in that game.
Well, you couldn't play together. That's what I remember, and I'll put my hand up, and I haven't been playing it for a while after I had that 20-minute rant on my own podcast about how much I hate Division, and I stopped. But I remember that was one of the main issues that stopped us as a group playing it together, because if you were, I can't remember how many levels, but for the sake of the argument, say if you were 10 levels ahead of someone else, you couldn't play with them anymore. Yeah. And even if they were 5 levels ahead of you, say, again, I can't remember the numbers exactly, but it was really tough for you if you were under-leveled, and that's what killed it. And I hope that when they bring the new Division, I think that's one of the major things they need to look at.
But I think, obviously, that's less of a problem when a number of people get to that end game point, and it did seem like it was something that was well supported at that point, which would encourage me more to possibly go back for the next game. As I said, like, I'm not at fever pitch for this game and really looking forward to it, but at the same time I'll be keeping an eye on kind of, you know, what they're announcing about it going forward. And, you know, even if I wasn't doing it for this type of thing, I'd be interested in doing that just for myself, just to see if it's a game that could get its hooks into me, basically.
Yeah, I need to see what they're actually planning for Division 2, and what changes are they making, and what is going to be different from Division 1, because there's some stuff that I really liked about the first Division, but there was also some stuff that just, like, it drove me a little bit insane, not gonna lie. Especially all the little collectibles that you had to do, it just was a bit maddening, so they have to do a lot of work, and especially since, you know, it's a part of Ubisoft MO, I don't think that's gonna disappear, so that might be why I won't return to Division.
But you do get an iconic backpack.
Iconic backpack, iconic hat, iconic neckerchief, iconic space hopper, anything.
I'd have an iconic space hopper.
Yes.
I'd be interested to see if we see anything from the kind of second screen stuff that didn't make it into the first game from the ideas, or is that something?
I doubt it. Well, there were ideas that were mostly focused around smart glass and to a lesser extent on the Vita, and that smart glass doesn't seem to be a thing anymore. It's just that has become the Xbox app. So, all right, and moving on, also in the Ubisoft realm of things, Far Cry 5, they've been showing off their map editor for the game just before, well, it's very close now. It's a couple of weeks before it's out now. So I didn't realise there were map editors in the previous 2 games, which I did play both of them and did not see a map editor.
No. Was that possibly more on the multiplayer side of things?
Maybe.
Or, I don't know, but anyway. But yeah, I didn't really fiddle around with it that much at all, but then I didn't play much of the previous game as well. Yeah,
there's a map editor again. Again, map editor stuff doesn't really interest me, but this looks pretty cool because what they're doing this time around is not just bringing in assets from Far Cry 5, but also previous Far Cry games and other Ubisoft properties. So, for instance, I saw one where someone made a kind of like a first-person horror game. It was done like a haunted house that had assets from Primal, Far Cry Primal.
Right.
So you could find the blood dragon skeleton in Far Cry Primal, and there was also the purple glowing eggs, fossilized eggs from the blood dragon as well. Those were in the house at one point. So there's things like that, but I'll be interested to see.
I saw screenshots where it almost looked like Starship Troopers, like an invasion of kind of bug alien type things as well.
Yeah,
I'm guessing that was part of the map editor type stuff as well. I guess.
Yeah, it looked like it. But there's also, there's a whole big thing about the season pass as well as the, I think this is just the main game on itself, but with the season pass, there's going to be stuff there's like a Vietnam War thing with aliens, and you'll get the original Far Cry 3 as well, and all this other kind of stuff with it. But the map editor stuff looks really interesting. I want to see what the extent of Assassin's Creed content in a Far Cry map looks like.
But I don't know. I think it's one of those things where if they have enough of a variety of stuff, it could either be something where you can focus in one particular area and just do like an Assassin's Creed style, map for Far Cry 5, or you can just go crazy and throw it all together and have a mishmash of all Ubisoft properties that just make it crazy and fun kind of thing. No? It's almost weird that they say that for Far Cry. Like, I don't know. I guess in essence, and they're kind of taking a possible more, and it doesn't look like they're taking a completely serious tack with it, but they're definitely handling a more serious subject almost in a little bit here. But it's always been a little bit tongue-in-cheek humor-y, even though it's, got dark elements to Far Cry type thing.
Yeah.
So I guess having the mismatch of all those different properties works better in Far Cry than it would necessarily do in Assassin's Creed, for instance. So I guess it's a good game to add that kind of functionality to.
I'm looking forward to Far Cry. This is the first one that I'm actually looking forward to.
Well, see, I looked forward to the last game, having really liked 3, but then never quite got through to finishing 3. But then, I just didn't play enough for 4, and I'm worried I'll do the same on 5. But I don't know. I might give it a rent and see if it gets its hooks into me, and then possibly pick it up if it does, kind of thing.
Right. Anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And not Ubisoft related.
Oh, that means you can have an iconic hat versus an iconic backpack battle.
But now it's time to talk about the iconic Oculus Rift, Tim.
Yes.
Stop all the rifts, cut off the telephone, stop the dog from barking with a juicy bat? I can't remember. Oculus Rift, they just stopped working. They just died. Just died. Died a death.
Should we check our GK2 and find out if the GK2?
No, probably. Well, it might not. Well, no, it probably would have, because the problem was apparently an expired security certificate. That was causing problems.
Which was funny because Oculus started off this week with the news that they've passed the Vive and have now become the most played hardware unit VR headset on Steam, and then they ended the week with, by the way, our headsets don't work.
By the way, none of them actually work.
Yeah. That's not every headset, as it was kind of early reported. It was just a very large amount of them.
Right.
But still, it's not great. It said there was a problem with the Oculus runtime service. And later on, Oculus came out and said that there was an issue with their software certification that had expired, and they're looking into it, and they should have it up and running soon. I think that's fixed now.
Yes, it is now. Apparently, there is now a patch out that you can download. So I don't know if you have to manually download that or probably automatically update, but make sure you're updating your Rifts to make it actually work. I just have visions of Kev just sitting there with like, and just it all going kind of staticky, and him just sitting there going, I don't know. No VR.
It's just sat there in darkness going, this is a terrible first-person survival horror simulator.
It's so dark. It's rubbish.
It's playing Alien Isolation. I can't find the flamethrower. It's so dark.
There was also reports of, in kind of more serious circumstances, there was developers that didn't know this was going to be a thing, hadn't been notified, and were frantically trying to repair it at a show where they, a public event, where they were showing off their games. And, because no one knew it was coming, and it kind of snuck up on everyone, like there was cases of that cropping up as problems. And that's, obviously it's not great for a user, and it's not particularly great as a general kind of thing for even non-owners to see about, just the Oculus Rift kind of kit as well. It's like not the biggest problem in the world. It's solved already, so kind of move on. But a bit embarrassing for Oculus, and badly timed, as you say, with the news of them having more positive news this week. But not so good.
Good. I'm glad of your in-depth analysis there, Tim.
All good.
Well done.
Can I go on a slightly related tangent?
Please do.
Yes.
Have you heard the stories of Alexa randomly laughing at people and being really creepy?
Yes.
I love those stories.
The videos are terrifying.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, well done, Amazon. You have sold me on a Google Home.
I think it was because I'm not entirely sure, but I think it was because during the Halloween you could make her laugh really creepily, and somehow that got stuck. And now sometimes she just randomly laughs if she's in the room or something like that.
Yeah, it's like a child with a very short, like, half-second chuckle. It's not like a Alexa's coming for you. People have got, oh my god, it's so creepy, the Alexa. I've heard it. It's not. It's just like a child's laugh. It's very short. I'll see if I can find a clip of it and stick it in the show.
Stick it in the show.
Yeah.
Stick it in the show.
But it was, among other things of Alexa generally is really funny where I was listening to some podcast today and I'm blanking out on which one, but there Alexa just starts randomly playing one song when they're in the kitchen and it just, starts playing just that one song. I'm like, how are you not freaking terrified that there's this machine thing knows you're in the kitchen and starts playing music? And then laughs at you.
See, my friend bought a home and all I use it for, because I go in and they're giving different commands to the Google Home, and they're like, oh, give it a try. And the only thing I ever do is I go, okay, Google, and it will go, boop, and I go, hey, girl, how you living? And then the voice will come up going, I'm living just fine, thank you. I really like that one.
Gosh, Coleman, have some imagination. Ask it something interesting or dirty.
But I like saying it. It's like, I'll wait till they come up with a bunch of commands, and then I'll just come out with that one afterwards just to follow it up. So, anyway.
Such wasted potential.
That's all I want one for.
Just saying, hey girl, how you doing?
Just so I can hear a woman's voice talk back to me.
Oh my god. I talk to you enough.
I'm so lonely.
Aww.
Anyway, those are your headlines. Let's do a couple of points of interest. Quickly run these ones off. So Microsoft have announced the brand new show. They're going to launch a brand new show, guys. It's called Inside Xbox.
What?
Talking about what? What's happening with Microsoft?
They're talking about Xbox games. So if
Which
you didn't,
games?
Well, it will be Sea of Thieves to begin with, but I'll get to that in a second.
Right, okay.
So yeah, Microsoft
They're
have
planning one show every 6 months. Yeah.
exactly that. So Microsoft have announced that this weekend they're going to premiere a brand new monthly show called Inside Xbox. Only it's not brand new. Inside Xbox was a previously existing show that they had worldwide, different formats for different countries, and then they closed it down. And one of the more popular version is the UK one that they then became Outside Xbox on YouTube. They tour around all the shows and stuff. There'll be a rest this year.
Some of them became
Well, two of them. The main ones.
One of them. Anyway.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, Inside Xbox will now be relaunched. It will be a monthly show, and they'll focus on a different, either Xbox exclusive or something that's going to be impacted by being on Xbox. So they're going to start off with Sea of Thieves, taking a look at that just before launch. And also, if you're interested in Sea of Thieves, then you might want to keep an eye on our Twitter the day before launch. Just saying.
Just saying.
There
may be booty.
Boots. Oh, I love that booty. Hey, Tim, remember For Honor?
Yes!
Yeah, you love that game, right?
I really did. I should play it.
Just over a year after its launch, For Honor has finally added those dedicated servers for Xbox One and PlayStation 4.
Just in time.
Just in time.
To be fair, that's something that is probably
should have really had them at launch, from what I understood.
But also on the flip side, and hang on here, it's something that you only really need for the kind of high end, not necessarily real enthusiast, but someone that really cares, and it does make a big difference in this game, I would say, but someone that really cares about competitively playing online, that's probably a smaller percentage of the audience than the number of people that pick the game up at launch, and probably closer to they probably got to see what that scaled down to as an audience, and then catered the amount of dedicated servers they're offering for that. No.
Did they have a competitive mode?
The whole thing's competitive, isn't it?
Competitive, basically.
Oh, well,
there is an offline mode, but it's training. It's practically just training for the main game.
Yeah, but there's not like dedicated rankings and tournaments and stuff.
Pretty much, yeah.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes it a bit more worthwhile.
So they did a PC one on the year anniversary. They added PC dedicated servers, and that seems to have gone down really well. It's improved stability. There's less cutouts. There's less people dropping out of matches and things. So that's really good. Rainbow Six, also on the Ubisoft side, they are making changes to their systems. They're going to make more of an effort to ban those using racist and homophobic language. As well as other hate speech used in game. Why the hell isn't that a thing at launch and in every game?
What is this, a Ubisoft special or something?
There's a lot of Ubisoft news this week.
They leaked a lot this week. But also, well, they had news and then they leaked on top of it, and so it went everywhere basically. Anyway, but yeah, with this, I see a lot of people saying exactly the same thing as you said, Coleman. Almost criticising them for not doing
it's great they're doing it, but surely that should be, I'm not, and it's not a bash against Ubisoft as a hallmark. That should be for any game that is online, surely.
Okay, but I haven't completely read into this, but from skimming, reading some stuff and looking at different headlines of it, for me, it isn't something that they've just decided to start doing. It's something that they're implementing better systems for tackling. Okay. So, that's something where I don't see where the room for criticism is in that, basically. You know?
Okay.
It's not that they've never done this before necessarily. It's just they've obviously tightened up. I don't know if it's technology or rules that they've tightened up so much. That's the one thing I haven't really read up on.
Well, they're going to add in a system now, so if a player gets banned mid-match, then a pop-up will say that this player's been kicked off and why they've been kicked off. Right. So that's good. Naming and shaming kind of thing.
Yeah, and also just providing information, because if you think a player's this dropped, then you might think it's a problem with the server or something else, but it's actually a positive thing that's been done, kind of thing. You know? So, yeah.
Coleman has been kicked from the couch for insulting the Scousers.
And shooting dogs. But speaking about reporting systems, and I have a bit of experience with that from Overwatch, where that is a major problem. They are still struggling. You know, they had the reporting system on PC, I think, pretty much since day one, and consoles for a couple of months now. But they're still finding it really hard to figure out how to ban people properly. What's the proper punishment for someone doing something? How do people report it? How much reports to take seriously and stuff like that? It's a really complicated system. It's not kind of you've done a tick and it's all well done now. It's something that they have to update and evolve and change every time and adapt and look closely into, and it's tough. I gotta give it out. As much as it annoys me on Overwatch, I can understand all their struggles with it.
Yeah, and there are people that abuse that system as well. I've been kicked from GTA Online servers for threatening language, and my mic's off. You know, it's people that want to kick you out the server so they got it free for their friend. Yeah,
and that is part of the problem. And when you think about it, it is this open to abuse, and especially when you're actually playing a game like Overwatch, where it's a team game, because you could not like one of the players on the other team because they're really good, and the whole team could criticize them for, foul and abusive or racist language when they haven't used anything. And that is part of the problem. I do think that there should possibly be it's impossible for them to completely police it because they can't record everything that goes down. But when there is blatantly cases that are things that are being streamed or something like that, where there is evidence that they could act upon, perhaps that's something where they could look to make examples of people doing things in both directions. People cheating by using offensive language to try and put someone off their game. That's effectively cheating in itself. But beyond the fact that it's just being repulsive general behaviour that you shouldn't have to tolerate. But then also, it's something where perhaps there should be a bit of a pushback for trying to abuse that system to get someone banned as well. Kind of.
Well, let me tell you, and sorry to bring it all to Overwatch again, but this is a conundrum, and this example will illustrate just how hard it is to figure out this kind of stuff. So in Overwatch, they went for a period where players would ban one-trick players. So one-trick means that there's a player that can only play one character, and they always pick it, no matter what the team composition is, no matter whether they're attacking or defending, no matter the type of map. No matter
Look,
the
I
map
just
at
really
all.
like Winston, okay?
Chill, okay? And here's the problem. There is nothing in the rules that specifically says that you can't be playing just one hero. And especially if this is a hero that you know how to play good and you haven't played it. However, there are some heroes, for example, that they're not designed in a way that they're well suited for every single map, no matter how good the player playing it is. So a lot of people would report them for being one trick because they would say, this is bad teamwork, you're not working together with a team.
Yeah.
And then the player would come back and say, look, this is the hero that I play. Nothing in the game tells me that I'm not allowed to play this hero, and I'm playing him really well, and sorry it doesn't fit with with the team comp, but there is nothing in the rules that tells me. And yes, there's nothing in the rules. And yes, it's bad teamwork. And how do you decide? And this has been a conversation for, I don't know, years of Overwatch now, and no one can fairly solve. And one day, Blizzard is saying, no, one tricks are not allowed. Then Blizzard's reversing their decision and saying, oh no, one tricks are actually allowed now. And yeah, it's a problem. And it's just one of many.
And I think, well, if you ban them, that's a problem for new players as well. Trying to learn one character to get good at the game type thing. Right? But anyway, well, yeah, it's a difficult problem, but as I said, if Ubisoft are looking to up their game on that, then that's a good thing.
Moving on, Universal has announced just 1 week after the Ghostbusters style game, Pokemon Go game, there's going to be a Jurassic World Pokemon Go style mobile game.
Isn't there like Harry Potter, something else, now Jurassic World? There's so many games of this type now.
As soon as Pokemon Go became popular, there was always going to be a wave of other things. I mean, there are a number of properties that you can see lending itself to this. You know, as I said last week, I predicted the Ghostbuster one, but there's going to be more, basically. But yeah.
I don't know, to me it's just such a one-trick pony, but then again, you know, they have a lot of Battle Royale games coming out right, left, and center, so what do I know?
Yeah, but right, there's often, like, a proved model comes out and
No, I get that.
But I'm just saying, but by the time most of these other ones come to the market, I think the market will be more and more diluted. The number of people that played Pokemon Go won't play any of these subsequent ones, I don't think.
So what you're saying is we need a Pokemon-themed Battle Royale game. 100 Pikachus go onto an island.
Electrocute everything.
Circle gets smaller. They all go to the centre. First one in the Pokeball wins. I think, yeah, that's a game. Anyway, the Jurassic World game, if you wondered, it is called Jurassic World Alive. That will be coming soon to iOS and Android. No definitive release date has been given. But if you go to JurassicWorldAlive.com, you can pre-register your interest there, and you'll get some kind of sign-up bonus when it finally launches as well. So there you go.
I did like the park building one on mobile, I have to say, the Jurassic World one.
Then get ready for Jurassic, whatever the version of the game is, on Xbox One, Tim.
Good.
Coming soon. From the creators of Roller Coaster Tycoon, I believe.
Good.
Yeah. Jurassic Park, the game.
Talking of dinosaurs.
Not the game that I want. Talking about dinosaurs, let's talk about One Finger Death Punch.
There's a bit of behind the scenes there that I feel we might bother to explain. We joked about the fact that Dan always tries to tie the things together and jumps over something, and I did that to you, and then you just completely ignored it and rolled right into the next. Anyway,
it's fine. We can do it anyway, because that is a point I should have actually moved those two. Anyway. The first two Turok games, they're going to come out they're already out now on Xbox One. They are not improved in much way. They're just a little bit shinier, I think. They're remasters, not remakes. You can buy them at 15.
That does scare me a bit.
Yeah, $15.99 each.
Aren't they old now?
They are very old and are not worth $15.99.
Weren't they a bit ropey for like a near launch 360 game? Is that like the first Turok? Am I remembering that?
Turok, no. Turok on the 360 was a reimagining of Turok. Turok is an N64 game.
No. I played the original N64 game back in the day. Loved it. That was good. Hard to revisit. Anyway, but yeah, when they did the reimagining, I really liked that as well. But
it was horribly broken.
But yeah, it was slightly broken, but it had that cool bow thing. Like, it was one of the first games I remember with a cool bow. But anyway, good. But yeah, like, I don't know. It was a broken game that I liked, put it that way.
I love Turok, then Turok 2 just seemed to be all about the multiplayer.
Yeah.
And then they made actual, like, arena multiplayer Turok games as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Also this week, One Finger Death Punch, a sequel's been announced by the developers on Facebook. It will be aptly named One Finger Death Punch 2.
Oh, come on. There was an opportunity for this Two-Finger Death Punch.
Two-Finger Death Punch. That sounds a bit like a porno.
Yes, it does.
And that's going to be coming in spring 2019.
Oh, dear.
But that is being made by a two-man team. They're making it in Unity, and they've not announced where it's coming to, but they've expressed interest in Steam, Xbox One, and PS4.
That would be good things to have an interest in.
Also, Unity, it's a good opportunity for the Switch there.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever play One Finger Death Punch?
No. What was it?
It was like a very simple beat 'em up type game, but I remember, I thought you guys did a giveaway or something on Sarcastic Gamer UK before.
Yeah, I definitely recognise the name, but I'm not sure I've played it myself. Basically,
it's one of those interesting simple ones like Dropkick.
Okay. Speaking of which, just while you're mentioning that, do you have to say I can't remember what the actual, because it's a release window rather than actual date, but Raging Justice has announced a date, a game we've talked about previously. That was a scrolling beat 'em up that was a bit like Final Fight. Basically.
Oh yeah, I didn't like that.
Oh well, I did, and it looks even better and more polished. And coming out in Q2, I believe it is.
Okay, that's what I like the look of, but not the actual game itself.
Okay, well, see if you're convinced by the final product.
Yeah. Hopefully, it reminds me of Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, so
yes.
Let's see if it plays like it.
And I liked that.
I did. H1Z1, lastly, talking about...
Bless you.
Yeah, but... Gesundheit! H1Z1 has gone free to play. It's another Battle Royale game. It's one of the earlier ones. Predates PlayerUnknown Battleground, but with the popularity of those types of games, and especially with Fortnite being a free-to-play game that has become very, very successful lately. They've gone free to play. If you have previously bought the game, then you'll get a H1Z1 appreciation pack.
Woohoo!
Which includes over 10,000 skulls.
That sounds like a lot of skulls to carry around.
10,000 skulls, 10 victory crates.
I'm not sure I could fit 10,000 skulls in my flat.
Well, you can put them in your 10 victory crates, Tim.
How many? I can't envisage the kind of.
You can get 1,000 skulls. You get 1,000 skulls in each victory crate. So you've got 10 victory crates.
Victory crate is, Coleman.
They're very big.
We're talking in random.
You also get a flatbed truck to take the victory crates around.
That's actually handy.
Yeah. You also get a Gas Runner hoodie, a Bloom Survivor t-shirt, and a Splinter Cameo ARV. I have no idea what these things are.
I don't know what any of that is.
But if you know H1Z1, you might know what we're talking about.
Know something.
And that's all the news this week. Alex.
Hello.
Please talk to me about Purrfect Date.
Purrfect Date.
I want to know.
Okay.
Tell me about the cats.
Oh, there's so many cats. So, Purrfect Date is a dating simulator where you go on an island where mostly cats live with occasional humans that study them. And then shenanigans happen. But it was previously on Steam, and recently it went to iOS. I'm not sure if it's an Android, but I've been playing it on iOS. And it is actually pretty much the only reason why I'm playing that, because I think the best place for dating simulators is on your phone. And if there is one, I can't resist getting one. Although the whole concept of dating cats was a little bit weird to me, but that's probably because my mind goes to some dirty places.
I gotta admit, I did prefer playing Hatful Boyfriend on the Vita where people couldn't see me.
But okay, so the premise the game goes as such. So there are 6 different chapters, and you play as 6 different research assistants. You come on this island, you meet.
So just to hold you up there, I have a question.
Yes.
You're human in this.
Yes, you are a human. Well, maybe.
Who's wanting to date cats.
Well, that's initially was my problem, but give me a second.
Right,
It'll become a
She's
little
gonna
bit
explain,
less
Tim.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, go on.
Anyway, 6 different chapters, all research assistants coming to work for Professor Popper, who is researching cats.
I like the cat puns.
If you had a name like that, you'd want to research cats.
I mean, that's the only thing you could feasibly do with that kind of surname.
Yeah.
Let's be honest about it. Anyway, and on your first day, during the night, someone comes into your tent, steals something, you run after them, and then you realize that you are in the danger zone of the island where you're not supposed to go. And the next morning, you wake up, you see you're scratched all over, and suddenly you meet the 5 cats, and you understand what they're saying.
Oh my god.
And they tell you, and let me
off.
That does sound like a cat.
No, these cats need something from you. That's a different thing.
Looks like you stepped in the wrong neighborhood.
Gets the claws out.
They tell you, and I think I get the pun right, that you've been contaminated.
Cat-taminated.
Yes.
I like it.
Good puns.
And if you don't find an antidote, you will turn into a cat.
That sounds amazing.
Dun, 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 dun.
Finally.
But am I wrong for thinking if you were trying to have sex with a cat,
Okay, you're not
might
trying
not
to
be a cat?
Okay, here's the thing. And this is where my mind went too, so it's okay.
Okay, fine.
But this
I'm
is-
not alone here. Fine. Okay, fine.
This
That's
game
good.
is way more innocent about this, okay? It takes almost a comedic stance. You're not really having sex with cats. You're just learning about them and spending time with them. And at most, you're petting a cat. There is no sexual or intercoursey relationship involved because that is just creepy.
Okay, then. I have a question.
Oh, good God.
Why then is it called Purrfect Date? And I thought it was a dating sim. Is that not what it is?
I'll address the dating sim aside.
Okay.
But to address your first question, you horny little mongrel or something, I don't know.
Tim
I'm not
really
wanting
wants...
to have sex with cats.
Tim really needs to know the ins and outs of having sex with felines.
Here's the thing. Dates are not always about sex. I might blow your mind here, boys.
Yep.
And it's not... Yeah, Coleman knows. Here you
I'm
go.
not saying that they would necessarily have sex on the first date. Anyway, right, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, at least third date before you have sex with a cat.
No, it's about getting to know them and enjoying the company of the cats.
Of
It's
course.
not about the sex with the... Oh, my God.
Like Papyrus in Undertale.
Okay, so you're trying to woo a cat then?
Woo.
No, you're trying to be friendly and nice with a cat. You're making friends. You're spending time.
As
oh, my
a
God.
human or
Dear,
a cat?
if developers of the Purrfect Date hear this, I apologize on behalf of my husband.
Hi, Oliver.
Hi.
Because he's making your game sound creepy, and it is not. It is lovely and adorable in all different ways, and it's
Okay.
full of little puns, and all cats have different characters that fit the different breed that they're on.
I have a question.
Oh my God! Yes.
Can you tell me about the cat called... Is it Fluffy Butt?
Fluffy butt?
Yeah, I've not actually romanced him yet. I'm
Whoa.
4 chapters in.
Fluffy Butt.
Yeah, Fluffy
It's a
Bat.
good name.
I romanced Snooty Booty, who is
Romancing the snooty booty.
Oh, that's the film with Michael Douglas in it, isn't it? From the 80s.
Where they have to romance the snooty booty to rescue the island of cats.
Yeah.
Snooty Booty is a Sphinx cat.
Good.
So I romanced McMurphy, who is an Irish cat.
Yeah, okay, there's some racial
Yeah.
stereotyping there.
It's
but
racist,
okay.
that.
Yeah.
You get banned from...
And from Rainbow Six.
get banned from Rainbow Six with language like that.
See, I knew I should have saved this segment for my own podcast because my girls would not laugh at me. They would
We're-
take this seriously.
Alex, we're laughing with you.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
we're not-
sure.
No.
I romanced Snooty Booty. Come on.
Romancing the snooty booty.
I like it.
Yeah, so to address the dating simulator, I think it's more of a narrative because there's not a predominant, like, there's not that many choices there, to be honest. You choose a couple of them, and I think to really understand, I was trying to play very different characters to understand the range of choices that you have. So, for example, in my 3rd chapter, when you wake up being contaminated and you meet the cats, you can choose whether to help them or to not help them, and I chose to help them the 2 times before, and for the 3rd time I was like, just okay, I'll try out what it means if I don't help them. And basically you fast forward through the story, you just wake up as a cat and you're like, okay. But yeah, so I don't think there's that many choices. You occasionally say a couple of things, and your romance will literally depend on the couple of choices that you make, or at least that's what I can tell so far. But it's, you know, as I said, all the creepy sex with cats aside that Tim's imagining in his head, this game is not about that. It's for people who love cats. and who wanna,
really love cats.
Gosh, I knew this was coming.
So you're saying this is a game for people who love cats, but not necessarily furries.
Do you have to like swipe right at any time, or how does that work?
You don't have to swipe right.
What's the cat equivalent of Grindr? Is that Purrfect Date, or are we well off base?
What?
Yeah, I'm confused too. Anyway, and
I'm just confused why he didn't go to Tinder. He went straight for Grindr.
Well, why not?
Well, he already had sex with a cat. What can I say?
Just for the record, I have never had sex with a cat, despite any evidence presented by my wife to the contrary.
Who would you believe, people? Me or him?
Quiet, you cat sicko.
Anyway, as I said, I'm about 4 chapters in. So far, it's lovely. The writing, even if it's like all the cat pans are absolutely fantastic. The writing may be a bit cheesy at times, but it's enjoyable cheesy, and I like a little bit of mystery yet. I'm actually kind of the whole thing with the island, what's happening in the island, and what exactly makes you turn into the cat, or whether ever you find an antidote, and what the Professor Purr is up to, because he looks very nefarious despite his name, which is very cuddly. Anyway, I'm looking forward to finding all that out, and I'll update you on Geek Speak, where people hopefully will not laugh about the non-existent sex with cats.
Well, they're more mature on Geek Speak.
Definitely.
I'm really worried about, from now on in the future, saying I'm a cat person, because that could be misinterpreted from now on if people have heard this podcast, basically.
Does the game have a cool song like Dream Daddy?
Okay, confession time.
Mm-hmm.
I actually play it with music off because I also listen to music in the background while I play dating simulators, because that's how I like to play them, so I don't actually know.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Do some research before we talk about it on your podcast, maybe. Hey.
Cool for
Ooh.
cats.
Oh yeah! Here's a person who researches everything about every single
I
game.
wasn't saying it that way. I just meant you could.
Hey,
anyway, right.
Look who you're talking to. Like, Tim researches everything about every game.
Yeah, every single controller.
Each control, each sound option.
This on the podcast. Oh, he's giving me a really angry look right now.
A really angry look. Anyway. That was a slightly sarcastic eyebrow raise. Anyway, so, Coleman.
Yep.
Tell me about...
Tell Blee.
Fee, fi, fo...
See, now you got this problem I've got. I don't know if it's called Fee or Fey.
Fee, fey?
But it's F-E.
F-E.
Fair.
So this is a game where you play a cat.
Who are you trying to have sex with, Coleman?
Other cats.
Right.
But it's okay, because you're a cat.
You're a cat.
Now, you may have noticed this from, I think this was shown at EA's press conference thing at E3 last year.
Yeah, and it looked kind of, from what I remember, kind of artistically kind of leaning, basically, in terms of graphical style. You know, I describe that well.
Is this basically Yarny 2.0?
No.
No, but I mean, like, in EA style.
In
It's
EA
another indie that they're championing one indie per year, and this is this year's indie.
So, yeah, EA's done this thing now where they pick up an indie developer, they make a low-cost game that's very artistic, stylized, and apparently, from what I hear, this is a special program they're doing is just to kind of help indie developers out and curry good favor with audiences, because they don't actually take any profits from the budget they use. They like give them a budget to develop the game, and then they don't expect a return on that from the artist.
And they really need some goodwill from their audience.
They need some goodwill, especially after all the Battlefront stuff last year. So this is it's kind of like a 3D platformer, much like the old character platformers and the resurgence of that with Mario and ukulele and all
the Marios.
With the Marios and the ukuleles and the Hayden and the Hagen and the Flagon and the Hey Lady. Okay, so this one you're playing like a fox-like creature, maybe a cat-like creature.
You're a fox.
And it's a very kind of silhouetted, polygonal 3D platformer style puzzle platformer. And I'm playing on this on the Switch, and one of the mechanics is so you play it like a normal 3D platformer, use thumbsticks to look around, other thumbsticks to walk around, and then a jump button, what have you. But there's an interesting mechanic where he kind of chirps, and then you tilt the Joy-Con.
Chirps.
Yeah, he chirps. He makes like a little chirping noise. It's more like a little grumble noise. He likes goes. And then as you tilt the Joy-Con, you will change the pitch of the growling to somewhere between a growl and a howl.
Right. Can you give us an impression of how that sounds?
No, I'm not going to.
Oh. What's the point of you even talking about this game if you're not going to do noises?
Insert some audio.
I'll insert some audio. So the idea is you walk around and you'll find another animal. It might be like a little deer or some little creature scattering around on the floor or a bird or something.
And then you chirp at them.
Yeah, pretty much. You have to line up and then you chirp at them and they'll make a noise back at you. And the idea is you're moving the Joy-Con to try and match their pitch. And then if you can get the same correct pitch for the right length of time, that animal will then obey you, essentially, or become your friend. So if you
enslave them?
No, you don't enslave them. So if it's the deer,
mentally manipulate them.
Yeah, kinda, I guess. They'll start following you around. So if it's a deer, you could then jump on the back of the deer and ride the deer. If it's
you kill grave them?
Yes. Yes, you do. And if they break, then you got to stand there and go, "Come back, dear! Come back!" And then you get hit by a bus. Damn, that's a good show. Anyway, so the idea is you use these smaller animals and try find a more adult version of the animal, so a larger version of a deer or a larger version of a bird.
This is getting creepier and creepier.
Yeah, and then from that point, you're using that larger animal to basically fix to get past the level. It's interesting. It's not very self-explanatory what you're doing. It took me a little while to figure out how I'm playing this game because there's not really, apart from the couple of button prompts on how to do your initial moves, you don't really know what the aim is of the game. It'll kind of tell you how to jump and pull up a map and what have you. You got a little mini map that kind of fills out along the way of you playing, but not really much else. And everything else you kind of have to figure out yourself.
I'm trying to remember the name of the game that I played last year. Puzzle platformer.
Super Mario Odyssey.
No,
with the fox.
Wasn't the Marios? Yeah, with the fox.
Oh, that fox game.
Yeah.
It's called Seasons After Fall.
Seasons After Fall. Yes, I just saw that myself.
Not Psycho Fox on the Master System.
No. Yeah, Seasons After Fall. And yeah, from your description, it really reminds me of that game, but it sounds like that might have been a better version of this, almost, kind of thing.
Most probably, yeah. Like I say, this one's a little bit, for all the stylistic options and like the really very calming nature of the sound design and things that go along with it, it's a little, you might find it a little bit boring, or as Kev likes to say, it might be an artsy-fartsy game. But yeah, I think it's interesting. It's a small price. It's got that sort of indie sweet spot. It's $15.99, which on the Switch they tend to jack up the price a little bit compared to the Xbox and PS4. So it's nice to see a sort of comparative price on this one. I don't know if I'm going to finish it because it's an interesting concept, but it's not really holding my interest compared to what I could be playing.
Right.
Yeah.
Good fit for the Switch, though, kind of thing?
Yeah. I prefer these games on the Switch where I can play it while I'm out and about, mainly for a commuting type thing, because I never have the patience to sit at the TV and play a game like this. It's something you could kind of switch off and play for large sections of the game, sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah. Right. In the absence of me having played much, because I have been waylaid with illness or working or a combination of the two or asleep. But yeah, there's two games I just want to talk about quickly this week. Both VR games that were released this week. One which I'm excited to play and one which I'm disappointed to hear is pretty bad. But from a bit of second-hand information, and I'll give Gaming Without Parole a particular shout-out because they've been doing a lot of reviews for stuff. One of the other things I haven't mentioned as well is a lot of games that are out in America that aren't out here on VR, so I know there's a few good games that are coming and due in later, but these are two games that came out this week that have come
Tim,
out.
That's not VR, that's their reality.
That have come out generally around this time, but just so you know, yeah, VRFC is one of the games that came out, and that, by all accounts and by most reports, is really good, actually. Most people are saying it's not perfect, but it's a really nice, enjoyable multiplayer, and it seems to be just multiplayer for the moment, but the developers are talking about supporting it with single-player content going forward. But for now, it's a multiplayer online cross-platform across the 3 different VR platforms. Football game, basically 4-on-4 player football game with like goalkeepers controlled automatically, but then outfield players played by players. Apparently, it's a bit like Sprint Vector, in so much there's a reasonably steep learning curve, and it's also a bit like that in the fact that your movement is controlled by like kind of moving your arms up and down, basically. But apparently, it plays quite well, and I'll report back on that next week to see if that's the case. But literally, having the flu and trying to play VR is a really bad combo. Speaking of really bad combos, apparently, and this is a bit of a warning, again, a bit of secondhand information, was one that I possibly would have picked up this week, but I was waiting to hear reviews, and unfortunately, Bravo Team sounds like it is pretty terrible. Supermassive Games, it was a game developer that had gone from nowhere in my estimation to really high with Until Dawn, and then followed that up with Rush of Blood. I was really interested in what they were doing next in the VR space, but
could you say you were impatient?
I was impatient to see what, but yeah, the impatient was not great. I didn't think, to the point where I don't think I've even finished it. But then Bravo Team was one that I reported back on from EGX, saying that I kind of liked the idea, but the execution of the demo needed a bit more polish, and then I was glad that it was delayed with the hope that that was the case. I don't know what they did with that delay. I don't know if they didn't work on this game anymore and just put it out, or if it had more significant problems that need fixing to get to this point. But it just sounds like... I'll reserve full judgment until I've actually played it myself. I'm at least going to rent it and give it a go. But it's got aim controller support, so it's one I was kind of looking forward to from that front. And it's a 2-player kind of co-op game in a kind of modern military setting type thing. Some people have compared it to Time Crisis, and I was quite interested in that type of game and seeing that in this. But yeah, I don't know. There's problems with the movement, which is something that I saw when I played the demo, and that doesn't seem to have been solved. There's other issues with the AI of the opposition as well. One of the worst things I've heard is they've literally like dug something out of the closet of the past of first-person shooter games that everyone thought was dead in the clown car stuff going on. Like, they've got literal endless runs of people until you push forward and actually do something about it, basically. So, yeah, that doesn't sound good. And just in general, yeah, that game's not sounding good, and I'm disappointed about that, but hey.
Hey, Coleman, you know that game that I haven't played called Metal Gear Survive, but I hear it's pretty bad? Do you want to talk about it?
Not at all.
But yeah, well, as I said, I really wanted to speak about VRFC this week, and I would have possibly spoken about Bravo Team. But one of the other reasons I wanted to bring it up is I think this is pretty bad, and I wanted to see what you guys thought about it. I mentioned this to Coleman earlier in the week as well, but they disabled the share button, and the only reason I could think that they did that for Bravo Team is because they didn't want people streaming it to make people make buyers having an informed decision ahead of time, basically. And also, by the looks of things, and again, not necessarily empirical evidence, but it doesn't look like any review codes went out at all early to anything but the major sites, basically. And that's often a bad sign of those sort of things. It could have just been that there wasn't code available for reviews, I don't know, but yeah, like those two things in conjunction with each other, that highlights to me that they're trying to bury this game a little bit, and I don't like the way they've approached that.
Here's the thing that will blow your mind.
I'm blown.
Developers usually know if the game they're releasing is bad.
Yeah, but well, look, I could be wrong, but I wouldn't have thought that was a decision made at developer level, possibly. That might be a Sony-led decision. I don't know, but...
Well, if they know that something is bad, it's not working, they're gonna tell someone and be like, can you please not point at it because it's not...
But I don't understand. When you've just released The Impatient and presumably got some money back from that, I don't understand. If this game is broken and not ready yet, it shouldn't have been released yet. Like, for me. Like... Yeah,
that's a logical thing to do, but don't forget there's stuff like investors and blah 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 and schedules and things, and it's not a single decision that is made based on is the game ready or not. Sometimes it's like we don't have any money to continue making this game, or something else, or someone told us we have to release now. It's a combination of reasons, and it's not as easy to say it's not ready, we have to hold it.
No, I'll tell you exactly why this was released now. Other than it could have been pushed back a couple of weeks, this was released now to be released in this financial year.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not happy with the decision they made to do that, basically.
Thing is, I'm a little confused. Like, if there's no review codes going out and there's no functionality to share the game, whether that's implemented correctly or if it's meant to be we don't want you seeing spoilers at this point, much like they did with Persona 5.
It's literally a wave shooting game. There's nothing to spoil, practically.
Well, I don't know that because I have no interest in this game. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to say they also have a massive social media campaign on Facebook for this game, so it's a bit surprising that on one hand it looks like they're trying to put it out and bury it, but at the same time they're putting a lot of focus towards it.
No, what I think they're doing is trying to get as much attention on the game as early as possible so they sell as much of it as possible. And if this was someone's first VR experience, I'd worry that they think that is the limit of VR, basically, at the moment as well, because they're bundling it in packs, and it's not like it's not that they're not marketing the game. The problem that I have is that by not allowing people to stream the game and not allowing a widespread section of the press. I'm not talking about me getting a code here. I'm talking about streamers that seem to get codes generally from most developers and didn't in this case. And again, this wasn't the developer because the developer deferred to Sony because they were the publisher, and Sony didn't get the codes out to people by the sounds of things. So if that's the case, then it's not that they're burying the game. They are, as I said, harming the consumer's ability to have an informed decision when purchasing the game, and that for me is a problem.
This is not news. We always say we worry when they give review codes for a huge game a couple of days before it's released, and we're like, this is a practice that they've been doing with variety of tricks throughout. Right.
Fine, and that. Right, but I don't want that to become accepted behaviour. So when I see a developer clearly doing that, I want to point the finger and call them out, like I'm doing here, basically.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's fair enough, but I'm not surprised if the game is not good that was the set of decisions that they made.
Yeah, but as I said, a set of decisions that should have been made differently for different reasons, basically. Anyway.
Okay, so rounding that up, Tim hates supermassive games now.
I don't.
He said they're all horrible people.
It's out of love.
They kick dogs.
It's out of love for the previous games and what this game could have been given time.
They judge him for his romancing of cats. Doesn't like them.
I'm a cat person.
They took away a share function of sharing his cats. All right, so we got to get out of here, but before we do, Tim's got to tell us what's happening on a Tuesday, because Tabletop Tuesday is on a Tuesday, and the Tuesday is the Tuesday. So, Tim, what is happening at Tabletop Tuesday, sir?
This week, and for anyone who doesn't know, each and every Tuesday, we have an event called Tabletop Tuesday, where we have a different feature game every week. If you play that game that week, you have a chance of winning a copy of that game at the end of the evening. Last week I was ill, so I didn't get to go, but apparently fun was had with Unlock 2.
It was.
Which was, a kind of escape the room type game that seemed to go down reasonably well, so might do different versions of that in the future, possibly. This week's game is a bit of a shift in gears from last week, bit different. It's a game called The Grizzled, and I do have a review for this up on the site, basically. I think it's one of, if not the only board game I've given a 5 out of 5 on BigRedBarel, basically. I could be wrong on that, but I think it is the case. It's a really good little card game. It's not the happiest subject in the world, and it's not something that kind of it doesn't sort of gloss over things, but it's kind of the story of French soldiers in a kind of a resistance against Germany in, I think, World War One, and it's
about them dealing with their trauma.
Yeah, basically, and kind of you can get kind of shell shocked from being in combat and stuff like that, it's a kind of interesting co-op game for like 2 to 4 people. should be a good one to have a look at. As I said, the subject matter is kind of not necessarily the happiest, but it is a really good, really well thought out game, really nice artwork, and really well done. So even if you can't make it along, check out the Grizzled somewhere, where you can, and you can check out my review on BigRedBarel.com for more words on it at the time. But if you want to come along on Tuesday and possibly win a copy, you can join us in the loading bar in Dalston. We'll be there from around 8 o'clock. There are more details on the site on BigRedBarel.com on the top left-hand corner, or you can come along to our meetup group and search for Tabletop Tuesdays and join our meetup group.
So that's Tabletop Tuesday on the 13th of March at Dalston, London, loading, where you can join Tim and Alex and play some tabletop games on the Tabletop Tuesday. Or you can alternatively come to Stringfellows with me for a different Tabletop Tuesday. Tabletop Tuesday, dancing on the tabletops.
Is it possible to get cats that can dance on tabletops?
You
don't know.
sick.
I'm just asking for a friend.
Is it a furry friend?
Furry friend.
Furry friend. Anyway, before we go, we're going to say thank you to a couple of people on the forums this week, Tim.
I would like to thank Richard Kirk and Stingo.
And on the Twitters, Alex.
Thank you to Ian, Will Driver, and Nelly.
And also, this one just came in, Gabriel, who pointed out to me, Dan, and Tim. He said, after careful consideration, you know what? You're right. Us Americans are blobbering gun nuts. And sent a picture of testicle attachments that you can now attach to guns.
Good.
So you can now have guns with some balls hanging off the guns. Thanks, Gabriel.
Because it wasn't enough of a metaphor without them.
And also on Facebook, thank you to Ed Price.
And also, I'll give a shout out to Charlie. You may be seeing more of him in the future. That's all I'll say for now.
Charlie. Anyway, that is the end of this show, finally. And Alex, thank you for jumping in.
No problem. Good luck editing this.
Thanks. Everyone should go check out Geek Speak, which you can find on either BigRedBarel.com or other flavors of podcast providers, such like iTunes and Stitcher and Spotify and iHeartRadio. All those kind of things. I know what that is now. Most places that do podcasts, you can find us on there.
Good.
Anyway, BigRedBarel.com, that is the website. Also, Big Red Barrel on Facebook, Twitter, and Reddit. And Tabletop Tuesday on Instagram. Why not check that out?
See the photos.
See some pictures of Tabletop Tuesday, which Alex takes herself.
Except for when I do.
Except for when Tim does, but we don't give him credit because he gets too much credit and he's getting too big for his britches. Yeah.
I don't even have britches. That's how big I've got for my britches.
Find us all on Twitter. You can find Alex at DustyTulip_. You can find Tim at BRB Tim. You can find me at Dammit Coleman.
Dammit Coleman.
I think that's about all and everything we can get out this week and all the shilling and stuff. So, this has been episode 283 of the Big Red Barrel UK podcast for this week. I have been Coleman.
I might have been Tim.
Meow.
Hey.
I'm waiting for a proper one.
Okay, but...
That's as proper as it gets, there, Coleman. Cut your losses there.
And until next time, dear listeners, thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
You and your ears are quite welcome.
For the podcasting goodness that you just heard.
Why not roll on over
To BigRedBarel.com
for more podcasts,
news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet. BigRedBarel.com.